Good afternoon and good evening, everybody from Austin, Texas. Tony Cucolo. I was a soldier for 35 years. Transitioned out of the military in 2014 as a major general. That's 2-star for duties and responsibilities in Afghanistan, Iraq, the Balkans, but also 4 tours in the Pentagon. And so on the OE advisory team, I'm one of 2 subject matter experts for dealing with the United States government. In particular, in my area, it would be the Department of Defense. One of those 4 tours in the Pentagon, my last one at the Pentagon, I was co-chair of the equipment program execution group. What that means to you all is myself and a wonderful civilian counterpart in the acquisition and logistics and technology sector for the United States Army. We parsed the $35 billion equipment and modernization budget among all the Army stakeholders whenever we received a top line, and then had to explain our decisions to Congress. So as you're familiar, Congress holds the purse strings. We have an incredible Secretary of Defense right now, Mark Esper, who was Secretary of the Army. When he was Secretary of the Army, he instituted great reforms and in speeding up the acquisition and the commercialization of key technology that unfortunately our peer competitors were outdistancing us on. And so what I'm here to tell you is there's a change in the environment that has created great risk and great ambiguity. And that change, the challenges in the environment come from uncertainty and a severe disruption of the status quo. You all are dealing with uncertainty out there in your professions, I'm sure. The uncertainty in the Department of Defense is what will be the top lines as we wrestle with COVID. If there is a new administration, what happens there? And then the severe disruption of the status quo, I go back to that mentioned about the technological advances across the world. I mean, those nations in a less regulatory, law and policy-rich environment than the United States military is in, all for a good reason. We're handling the taxpayers' dollars, but those with less rules, let me put it that way, can seize intellectual property, advance technology quickly, spend money as they wish, as opposed to the processes in the United States. Now, back to Mark Esper, the Secretary of Defense. He brought that desire to change the way we buy things. I'm going to speak in very oversimplified terms. I hope I do not mean to condescend to anyone, but I will speak in oversimplified terms. You want to change the way we buy things, particularly technology. And so what you've got now is you've got a number of initiatives that move towards small and medium-sized businesses in the technology sector, or businesses with a wide menu of skill sets like OE, and there, whereas you would not have access to dollars, there is now access to dollars. And I'm going to call it walking around money of significant amounts that is pushed down. The authority and responsibility to dispense that is pushed down to lower levels. How has this been operationalized? I'll give you one example because we don't have much time here today. There's a wonderful organization called AFWERX, belongs to the United States Air Force, AFWERX. Think Skunk Works, but the United States Air Force trying to speed up how they advance technology and commercialize technology and solve problems. AFWERX has become expert at using small business innovation resourcing, and you've got small business innovation research funds, pardon me, SBIR, and also STTR, and that's technology and research funding. That's walking around money, and it comes in. And I'm going to cut right to the chase of where OE can play and should play in going after this. I'll explain the SBIR, the Small Business Innovation Research money. It comes in 3 phases. It is dispensed 3 times a year. Every 4 months, there's a list of problems put out in the open source to the public, and they seek a certain type of company to answer the call for this. And I'm gonna mention the 4 areas for an SBIR fund, for SBIR funding. The 4 purposes, pardon me: stimulate technological innovation, use small business for research and development, use small business for problem solving, as opposed to large businesses, the traditional contractors, where it might take. I love Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and Boeing, but it may take a long time to secure agreements and large amounts of money and those sorts of things. They're trying to accelerate things. So use small business for research, development, and acquisition of technology, and drive business to those small businesses led by underrepresented populations, and in particular, women-owned businesses. And so there will actually be defense folks looking for organizations like OE, women-led business to interact with. And the last one, of course, the purpose of this type of walking around money these days is to increase competition. And the more small businesses involved, the more competition with the big businesses, the more the putting money behind the need for speed is going to increase competition. Everybody will come to that, I think. The areas are artificial intelligence and machine learning, probably leading the way. You heard Adele talk about that, and that's his expertise. And then just the severe disruption of the status quo and the uncertainty of the finances coming in to the U.S. Department of Defense, who has enjoyed fairly well-resourced years these last few years. That is going to drive people to look for ways to become more efficient, and not just become more efficient, but maintain their effectiveness while they become more efficient. And so I think OE is perfectly positioned to go after some of this money. The types of money we're talking about in phase one of an SBIR, for example, you're looking at just $50,000. The company is given $50,000 in phase one and has 30 days to go find a problem to solve. And like I said, those hundreds of topics are out there all the time. But you want to get to phase two. Phase two is up to $1.5 million. And that sets you up for phase three, which is sole source contract. And it's all about what I have up right now, the technology readiness level. You see the lower left, the commercialization chasm, those gaps between technological readiness levels. And I will tell you that the walking around money is targeted at the technological readiness levels 5 through 9. If you can look at that slide and see 5 through 9, 1 through 3 is really basic research, and a little bit of 4. When you start getting to 4 and then 5 and 6, you're talking about, gosh, we got something. We know it works. Let's try it in simulation. Let's prove it. And then 7 through 9 is, no, we know it works. Can we do it now at scale? And so the sweet spot are those areas. And the reason there's a chasm is the government is going to the TRLs, they don't want to wait to work the gaps. They're going to the technological readiness levels and saying, what do you got? And they don't have time to go looking. So when OE presents solutions to problems, it's fertile ground, and sky's the limit for multiple sole source contracts, in my opinion. And I'm proud to be on the board of advisors for OE and help Corinne and the team do anything they can to secure this business, because it's all about solving problems for national security as quickly as we can. And personally, as an old soldier, I don't like what's happening out there. I want to solve those problems as fast as we can.